was it about Tarantino that really drew you to him? You know,
Yeah.
he's such a left field director out of all the I guess the popular ones we would have been exposed to growing up. So
Of course.
why him?
So yeah, growing up, I'm glad you asked that. Thanks, man. So growing up, I always been a fan of Spielberg, like Scorsese kind of thing. Maybe Scorsese later on, but pretty much those directors, the common ones, like I guess Robert Zemeckis, like watching Forrest Gump and Back to the Future. Like I was never really introduced to Pulp Fiction or those kinds of movies. There are only 10 movies and they're his movies, right? It's not like he branched off and did a whole bunch of other ones. So I guess what I'm saying is when I started gravitating more to him when I began getting really serious about how do I pursue a career in film, or how do I make this passion come to life, this dream of mine. And I remember I was 17, 18, and I sat down to write my first feature length screenplay. And I was telling a buddy on the last podcast, they're like passion projects, because what I'm doing is I'm developing my craft. And then I don't have any interest in selling them yet, or like kind of, you know, passing them along, because I'm trying to see if I can get to a point where I can make it myself, like direct them, and you know what I mean, with the experience behind the camera. But when I started writing the script and I started, going through dialogue, I never understood what all those dynamics meant. And when I was listening to how people would review like Tarantino films, and I was watching his movies, I started to like fall in love with this whole idea that, again, like you said, he's so different that I studied marketing for a reason. I love the idea that it's branded. Like you watch it and it's like you could tell it's his movie. And other directors are successful with this too, David Fincher and Scorsese. But like you said, he has this niche where it's like the characters belong to him and everything's in a universe, and there's a certain style, like a ring to the dialogue, and how there's always a revenge tale. You know what I mean? Like there's always like an undertone of revenge or violence. And I'm saying my movies, I plan them to be always about revenge or violence. It's just the idea. I really was infatuated with this whole idea of dialogue and the way characters speak and how it flows, and how the script was constructed. And you would probably agree with me on this too, is that the most important thing in filmmaking people need to understand is the story. And the story is the most important thing. And that's why I was drawn to him, is that he's a storyteller first. He always says that I'm a writer first and then a director. And I never really understood that, right? Because I always saw directors, they pick up a script and they direct it. But I like the idea that he creates these stories from his imagination. So with Tarantino, he was an inspiration for that. His story of how he became a filmmaker is inspiring, and I can, see myself following the same path. I'm not saying I don't know if I'll get to his level, but the idea that he didn't go to film school, because I was rejected from film school, the idea that he made it on his own merit, he made it on his own imagination, again, inspires me. And it tells me, like, there's a possible way. Now he's a one in a billion, right? But there's other filmmakers too that haven't gone to film school, or haven't, really taken any sort of training, but their passion is so great, they overcome those obstacles. You know what I mean? Like he has a quote where he has two quotes that always, stay with me. One is, I didn't go to films, I went to film school. I mean, sorry, I didn't go to film school, I went to films. And the other quote was, if you're truly passionate about cinema, you can't help but make a good movie or a good story. And they're very simple quotes. I like
the one.
What? Yeah, they're very simple quotes, something like that, along those lines. But yeah, I like that he's ballsy. He gets to do whatever he wants. I'm not saying, again, very lucky, or I guess he was in a situation where Weinstein at the time, before he was convicted, gave him that power. But I like that he's like a true artist, like a true storyteller. And that's how I see myself, is keeping it authentic as possible, and not, straying from the script. As much as it's good to, again, I'm a big supporter of collaboration, and, adhering to changing things and tweaking things here and there. But when it comes to, like, the point where you got like a Suicide Squad, we got poor David Ayer. Is that the director?
David Ayer, yeah. David.
the whole movie was, you know, completely stripped apart to the point where he had to voice like how much he hated the studio system. And to get to that point, it's like, how bad did you, how involved did they get that his vision is not even, is compromised, right?
Mm.
And again, this goes back to Zack Snyder, why he's making the re-edit, right? There's a petition for that because they want to see, people want to see what the person's vision was.